What's up, guys? This is nickspat from Sunday Dinner, and today we're gonna do a breakdown of my song Nights With You. So I started this song after a few failed attempts at writing something cool, and I decided to just strip it down and grab my acoustic guitar. And something that I do when I'm trying to change it up or just like feel inspired is I'll fuck with the tuning on my guitar and I'll use a capo. So I went into drop D and then I put a capo on the 4th fret. What I played was this. So as soon as I had that, I knew I had something going. This is what it sounded like when I recorded it, and I double tracked it because, you know, acoustic guitar always sounds better when it's double tracked, without any processing on it. So just light compression and shit, and then some EQ, compression, more EQ, micro shift doing its thing, more EQ. So like multiple stages of EQ. Because everything is kind of, compressor is literally not even doing anything. It's hilarious. Because when you start to add plugins in, it's kind of changing the sound. So like the compressor will add a bit of low end, which is what I rolled off here, right? And then micro shift is going to do its own kind of thing to the sound, and then I'm controlling that here. So yeah, that's the acoustic guitar. And then once I had the acoustic guitar down, I believe I went for the bass. So here's what the bass sounds like. And the basic idea here is it's the same track printed to 2 different tracks and then some to one. So one of them is rolled off. All the lows end is rolled off at 100 hertz, and then the other one is the opposite, so all the high end is rolled off at 100 hertz. And then I kind of was just controlling that like center point with another band just because it kind of builds up when you do the 2 filters like that. And the whole idea here is now I have individual control over the top frequencies and the bottom frequencies. So for the bottom frequencies, I just ran it through a pretty hefty amount of compression just to keep it really consistent. And then the top, well, what else did I do that? Yeah, and then just the bottom gets sidechained to the kick, which is kind of fucking cool. And then for the top, I believe a different type of compression. And then this deep swimming chorus preset, and then I just tweaked it a bit with the delay time, I think, on effect rack, and it sounds fucking good. But if you put that chorus on the low end too, it kind of gets messy and just weird. So the low end is completely down the middle, mono and nice, and then you add in that cool sound on top. I think I fucked with this a little bit. Fuck. There we go. Okay, so that's the bass. So I'm rocking with this now at this point in the fire. I'm like definitely feeling inspired about this. And then the next thing I did is I went for the drums. And the drums are like super simple. Like there's no layering happening. I was just really diligent about which samples I chose. So I like spent a good hour probably just like going through kicks and snares. And this is what I landed at. Just really simple, but like, you know, you don't need to process a whole lot and you don't need to layer a whole lot if your samples are fire. Like, so I think the kind of the lesson here with this song is that source material is super important, and if you start with a good source, everything else is just gonna fall into place. So I think I had left that first session with just a really solid bass, acoustic guitar, and drum sound. Everything's super simple, nothing like mind-blowing, but like super inspiring because of how just like tight everything sounded off the bat. This is what I had. There's some crash cymbals in there too. Then these like little tom fills, which are always fun. And then I had this little melody in my head that I hummed. I gotta remember to keep this soloed, fuck. Which is this guy. And yo, don't shit on me for how messy my session is. It's just how I work sometimes. It's not good, but I'm working on it. And then I doubled that with a guitar, which is here. And then these little background pad vocals come in. And then we're in the verse. So yeah, that's the basic vibe for the intro and just kind of how everything built up at the beginning. So I think after the first session, I had basically just the intro down, like exactly the way it is now, like nothing changed about it from to the end of the song. So I feel like really spending just the extra time during the initial session to just get everything like feeling good and dialed in, because I think that it makes a big difference when you come in later and you want to work on the song, but like everything is just all over the place and like your bass fucking sucks and like it's not an inspiring way to work for me. So I'll take the extra couple minutes to just make sure everything feels good. But also like there is something to be said, I think, about, you know, if you're just trying to keep moving and you just need to get an idea down and come back to it later, I think that's totally fine too. But in this case, it was conducive to my workflow to just have a good sounding foundation. Because I had a good sounding foundation, I feel like it really didn't need much other than that. And let's go over the chorus, because you get some new layers now in the chorus. So we have our core elements: acoustic guitar, drums, right? So this is like what we had earlier. And we're getting some new fun stuff here. We're getting this little guitar here. And we're getting some keys. And I'm just layering that with an exact copy of a synth, Serum synth. Just to add some texture to it. Then these guitars, which are kind of buried, but they definitely make a difference. And just on those two chords, it sounds kind of nice. Cool, so instrumentally, the chorus sounds like this. And then the drums, and then the vocal. Now this tastes like nights with you. I tried to dance, but then my head was spinning. I thought your silhouette was dancing right. Yeah, so the vocal is like definitely doing the heavy lifting on this song, which I think for this song in particular was the right call, just lyrically and melodically. I think that the vocal needed to just like dominate it. That was an intense way to say that, but. And then in the last chorus, we have these fun background vocals on the Nights With You part. And then that melody thing at the intro comes back, but it's like a gang vocal now, just to make it kind of anthemic and last chorusy. It feels like nights with you. That shit's fire. I love that. Let's talk about the vocals. So, vocal processing is fucking everything in pop music. It's really important, and I think it's the thing that you're gonna spend the most time on in a pop song. Like, everything is kind of just doing its thing. The vocals are like extremely micromanaged, as you can probably see from just the comps and how everything looks. A fuck ton of processing too. It's just what it needs. Like all the pop music that you're going up against is gonna have just like a perfectly vocal. So here's the processing. So I always just start with like this kind of low cut EQ, just cutting like the low rumble. So this is like if I have any sort of like, you know, if I hit the mic stand while I'm recording, or just like anything that's like under there that's gonna fuck with what I'm about to put it through. I just get rid of that first. Because like sometimes that can trigger a compressor like in a weird way. So you just want to take care of it like right away. And then the next thing is Melodyne, and I'm just using Melodyne to manually pitch correct the vocal. But you know, a word of advice on Melodyne is that like the main vocal, like the actual raw vocal, needs to be pretty fucking good for Melodyne to actually do anything that's like worthwhile. So focus on your engineering, focus on your comping, and on your performance. And then Melodyne goes into autotune. The vocal's already tuned going into autotune, but autotune just adds like a kind of flavor to it. It's not like an autotune that's like super aggressive, but you definitely know it's there, and it's definitely part of the sound, right? And I can get away with a 10 retune speed without it sounding crazy because it's already like really tuned beforehand. Next thing is just like a starting EQ before I hit compressors. People love to argue about what comes first, EQ or compression. I don't give a fuck. Whatever sounds good works. I do both. This is like, you can see very, very conservative moves, right? I'm just like taking control or taking care of some problem spots just off the jump. I'm cutting the lows again. And I'm just doing like 3 dB moves at most, 200, 500, and then I lift at 2K, and I give a little bump at 6. Okay, so not doing much, but it's just kind of sweeten it right before it goes into the compressors. That's kind of what I'm using it for. Right, so I'm using CLA 76 as a fast compressor. So the release is all the way up, the attack is pretty quick, right? And if you don't use CLA 76, this thing is, what did I just do? The higher the number, the quicker the attack, and the higher the number, the quicker the release, which is kind of fucked up because on every other compressor ever, it's the complete opposite. But anyway, I'm slamming the shit out of it through this compressor, but because the release is as fast as it goes, it's not going to sound like fucked up, but it is really, really just controlling the transients and the front load of the vocal, and it gives it like a really punchy and like tight sound off jump. So up to there, we have this. It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and I took a drink. So it's literally hitting 20, like it's brick walling, like the light's on, it's saying, please no, I can't take any more, but it can because the release is all the way up, okay? Then we've got some slow compression, smooth compression, I guess, with 2A. And now this is just, I'm getting some gain now, and I'm also smoothing it out because the CLA 76, it kind of has like this punchy jaggedness to it, which is good because I'm controlling the front end, but now I want to control the back end. So it's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and so you can hear like quite a bit of gain increase with that compressor, and also like just smoothing out the ends of the phrases, which is really important. Okay, then we've got a Pultec style EQ, and I'm just adding a wide bandwidth 10K lift. It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty. Sounds fucking great. I love that plugin. Definitely essential for pop vocal. Now we have an EQ, and what happens is the compressors are going to add a whole bunch of like boxiness and low end to your vocal. So I'm pulling that back out now after all of that. Okay, and then I use RVox, which is another compressor. No amount of compression is too much compression on a vocal. I'm just going to say that now, for pop vocals at least. And this is just sweetening it, basically. Just adding a little tiny bit of consistency, and it just does something nice to the sound, so I really like it there. It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty. So now we just have like a ridiculously smooth and consistent vocal. And then I'm de-essing. It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and the S's are super strong because of how much compression and brightness and shit that we've thrown through it. But I like to throw the de-esser on at the end. Sometimes I might even, if it's a particularly like SE vocal, I'll put it, this is why this space is empty. I might have one here too before I hit the compressor so that they don't really fuck it up. But this vocal didn't need it. And then lastly, got C4, which is multi-band compression. And this I was only using on the high end, so I'm compressing the high end down and then adding back in the compressed high end. It just keeps it really, really consistent. It's 2 a.m. The bar is
half empty and
cool. That's a fun one. Yeah, so now let's go over the sends, because obviously the sends are where the magic happens. So yeah, so dry.
It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and I took a drink and you.
Yeah. So with the sends, the first one, short delay, short pre-delay reverb, and I've got the 80s color on it. So what we have now is this.
It's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and
Kind of just glues itself to the vocal and creates like one sound. Okay, bus 3. This is the best reverb on this entire session. I fucking love this one. This one is doing a lot. So the first thing is micro shift, which is like a chorus effect, and it's widening it. So what it does is it's widening my vocal so I can push the reverb harder, but it's not gonna interfere with the lead vocal because it's out farther to the sides, and also adds just like an interesting dimension to the verb. And then vintage verb at about 4 seconds. Again, really short pre-delay time. And then I'm filtering it out, and then I'm just cutting areas where I feel like it's kind of either interfering with the track or interfering with the vocal and the EQ. Compression or reverbs is goated, bro. This shit is fire. Slow release, slow attack, and an 8 ratio, and that's just like squeezing down on that reverb, making it super consistent. And then at the end, just a little bit of dynamic EQ, because in certain spots on certain phrases, I thought that these frequencies were much, but in other spots they felt fine. So the way you handle that is dynamic.
it's 2 a.m. The bar is half empty and I took a drink and you went.
Yeah, that sounds fire. Bus 9 is a delay. It's kind of like a slapback vibe with the cheap tape signal on it. Cool. So those are the sends there. So yeah, I kind of mix as I go, and then at the end I'll just do a couple passes over it, just like cleaning things up and like really listening to it with the fine-tooth comb. And I'm, about halfway through the mix, I start mixing into a limiter, so I understand how the limiter is going to interact with the with my mix, and then I turn this bitch off and send it out to mastering. So yeah, that was a lot of just nerdness right there. That was kind of fun. I'm not sure what I want to do really. It's dinner time. Not Sunday dinner time. That's tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sunday dinner. But it's like actually dinner time, so let me know if there's like... Don't let me know, actually. This has been fun. Good. Okay, bye.
I started this, but then my head was spinning. I thought your silhouette was dancing right with me, and now when I go out, it feels like nights with you.
What's up, guys? This is Nickspat from Sunday Dinner, and today we're going to do a breakdown of my song, Nights With You.